Hi. My name is Lily, I'm 28, and I live in Seattle. A year ago, my life turned upside down. I lost my husband, my trust in my family, and almost myself. But it all started with the fact that I just fell in love. Ryan and I met at university. He was charismatic, calm, and, importantly, patient with my oddities. I have a difficult relationship with my mom. She has always been in control of my life. When I told my mom that I was dating Ryan, she was immediately against it. She said he was too soft, impractical, and without prospects. It seemed to me that she was just jealous. We got married anyway. Secretly. Only Dad knew. Mom didn't even come to the wedding. The first months were a fairy tale. We rented a small apartment, and the area began to develop its business. I worked as a designer. Everything was quiet and real. But Mom didn't back down. She texted me every day, called me at night, demanding that I come back. She said that Ryan was acting suspiciously, that he was cheating on me. I didn't believe it. One day, my mother came to us without warning. She made a scene right in our house. Ryan stood it calmly, but after that he began to move away. He said he couldn't live under the control of my family. And then I found some strange messages on his phone. These were messages with a woman. Lots of emoticons, flirting, but nothing too explicit. I asked him the question head on. He said it was just a work colleague. But Mom, as luck would have it, had already warned me. And a real storm started inside me. 3 weeks after that scene, I packed up. I didn't scream, I didn't make a scene. She just said, "I do not know who you are. I do not know who I am next to you." Mom was pleased. She was there again, caring as never before. She even said that she had found me a decent man. 2 months later, I accidentally found out that the woman with whom, according to my mother, Ryan allegedly cheated on me, was not a colleague at all. She's a former patient of my mom's. Mom is a psychotherapist. And she specifically sent this woman to Ryan's entourage. I was in shock. Mom set up a trap to expose Ryan. She literally destroyed my marriage with her own hands. I went to see my dad. He divorced my mom a long time ago, and now I understand why. He told me things I didn't know about, how my mom controlled him too, how she ruined his career with her constant interference. He said, "You don't have to choose between your husband and your mother. You have to choose yourself." I gathered my strength and texted Ryan. We met in the park. He was different, calm, but with sadness in his eyes. We talked for almost 5 hours. I told him everything, about my mom, about the manipulation, about my guilt. He was silent, then he said, "I have never betrayed you. But you have to figure out for yourself what's important to you." After talking to Ryan, I started seeing a psychologist. Not to my mom, of course. For the first time in a long time, I listened to myself. Without other people's advice, without pressure. And just when I felt like I was suffocating from freedom, my mom showed up again. With flowers, with apologies, with a phrase, "I just wanted the best for you." But I already knew the value of this goodness. You know, there are things you don't want to know about your parents. One day I went to her house when she was at work. I needed to get some old documents. And in my desk drawer, I found a folder with printouts of my chats with Ryan. She was watching me. Installed a spyware program on my laptop. She had screenshots of everything from emails to banking transactions. I called her out to talk. Not a scandal. I sat across from him, calmly, and asked, "Why are you doing this to me?" She started crying. She said she was afraid to be alone. That he doesn't know how to love otherwise. That I am her meaning of life. But I couldn't sympathize. I felt only one thing, fear for myself. He wrote to me the same week. Ryan's brother. I hardly talked to him, but he wrote, "Can we talk?" He said that Ryan was going through a hard breakup. That after the divorce he closed down, quit the business. And most importantly, he never believed that Ryan could cheat on me. He also said, "My mom called Ryan after the divorce. She threatened. She said she would destroy him if he tried to come back to me." I didn't know what to do. Forgive? Go back? Break away from your family? But at one point I realized, you don't have to make a decision forever. We need to make a decision for today. I went to Ryan's place. No flowers, no big speech. He opened the door. He looked at me for a long time. I said, "I do not know who I am without you. But I want to find out. With you." If you're ready. He hugged me. Silently. A new stage has begun. We lived separately, but we saw each other every day. It wasn't dating, it was recovery. And then, a new blow. My mother came down with a hypertensive crisis. At the hospital, she said, "You're killing me." I felt ashamed. But there was a doctor nearby who took me aside and said, "Don't let yourself be a tool in her theater." I wrote her a letter. Paper. In it, I thanked her for all the good things she had done. For your concern. For trying to be the best mother she could. But I also wrote, "I'm not your daughter in a cage anymore. I've grown up. And now I choose the path myself." I left a letter in the ward. And she left. Ryan and I are back together now. We didn't sign again. We just live, consciously, carefully, with respect. Mom rarely calls. I answer if I feel ready. I'm not trying to be a good daughter anymore. I'm just trying to be myself. You know, freedom doesn't mean turning your back on your family. It means learning not to lose yourself in it. It's been 6 months. Ryan and I rented a house outside the city, surrounded by greenery, where every morning began with the smell of pine trees, and the night brought a silence I hadn't heard since childhood. For the first time, we felt that we were safe. One evening, there was a knock on the door. A strange, hesitant knock. I opened it and saw her. Mom. She was standing on the porch with a suitcase. Her face was tired, and there was no pleading in her eyes, but devastation. "I have nowhere to go," she said. My body instantly froze. My stomach tightened, as if a wave of memory had swept over me. I didn't let her in. This decision was not about anger. It was about boundaries. I knew that if I let her in, I would disappear back into her pain, into her scenarios. I said, "I'll help you. I can find a place to live. But you can't live with us." She silently turned away and left. Without shouting. Without a theater. She just left. And I stood there, and the ice slowly thawed in my chest. I couldn't sleep last night. Ryan held my hand as if he knew the storm was still inside. And I asked myself, what if I've become as cold as I once thought she was? What if now I'm the one who turned away? But then I remembered how many times I sacrificed myself for my mother's demands. How I disappeared, agreeing to something that hurt me. Now I've chosen differently. And there was no callousness in it. That was taking care of yourself. The next day, I came to the appointment. I was silent for a long time. And then she asked a question that had been waiting for a long time to come out. Is it possible to be a good daughter? And at the same time choose yourself? The psychologist looked at me calmly, gently. You can be a daughter. And be an adult. These things are not mutually exclusive. But you don't have to sacrifice yourself for someone else's comfort or the illusion of love. It was like a permission to not be a lifeguard. But to be yourself. 2 weeks have passed. There was a letter in the mailbox. A real one, with an envelope, an address, and her handwriting. She wrote that she was moving. To his sister, in another city. That he doesn't expect to be forgiven. But she hopes that someday I will be able to understand her. And at the end she added, I was trying to keep you by my side because I didn't know who I was without you. I read it, and for the first time I didn't feel guilty. Only sympathy. And a little sadness. For both of us. Sometimes I catch myself in the mirror, in the turn of my head, in my intonation. And I shudder, Mom? I am overcome with fear. That I would still follow her path. But then I remember, I don't control people. I don't scare you with love. I don't lose myself in anxiety. I'm not her. And being a little like her is not a sentence. This is a chance to do things differently. It was an ordinary evening. I was standing in the kitchen, washing a cup. Ryan came over, put his arm around my shoulders, and said softly, "Maybe now?" I turned around. And she smiled. Not from euphoria. It's from deep peace. Yes. It can. We decided not to do the wedding. Just a vow. For us. Without an audience. No extra stuff. Just what's real. A month later, I found out that I was pregnant. The first feeling is not joy. And the fear. Will I be able to? Will I become a repeat? I wrote in my diary, "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be alive, honest, and there for me." I showed the tape to Ryan. He looked at me and said, "This is the kind of family I've always wanted to build." The past doesn't go away. It becomes the background. It whispers sometimes, tries to bring it back. But now I know that I am not a reflection of other people's fears. I'm not a script written for me. I am my own. I choose. I'm alive. Thank you for coming this way with me. Tell your story. Or just know that if you're at this stage right now, I'm with you. We are not alone. We are stronger than we think.